Hello everybody, welcome back to Dominions 5. The new turn for our late age Tianqi game has just rolled over, so let's take a look at what happened. Okay. So, let's look at a few things. First of all, this was us clearing up the indie attack last turn. Our raid here killed 570 people and got us 28 gold. Let's look at what's going on here. So just a little bit of PD. We had raided this with a couple of sacreds. So that's going to work. There was a Magister Arcane, but it looks like he retreated. This was us pinging his army. And sure enough, this is his army. So this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to see what he has, what he's thinking. So he's got wardens out in front. He's got a bunch of doggies. By the way, these doggies don't have a great attack. It's just like a normal attack. Oh, they're vulnerable to iron. Interesting. But they're sort of stealthy and have a lot of hit points. And then he's got a few longbowmen in the back, and he has all his mages out patrolling. The Shirley Curry is the prophet. By the way, as a reminder, his bless is resistances. He's got a bit of precision. Attack. Yeah, it's just a lot of resistances. Okay, let's take a quick look. I'm doing 1, 2, 3 here to switch between all of the mages. I want to see who's got gems. Aha. So we've got a fire guy with a fire in a jar. This guy with astral gems. She's going to communion up to do nature stuff. Air gems here, more air gems. Okay, we've got earth. A lot of earth. 2 guys with earth. This guy here with an astral gem. Okay, so that's his script. Well, I mean, that's his gem layout. So on the one hand, I was afraid of like a ton of air elementals. The best way to do that would be to put like one air, would be to do storm and then one air elemental. But let's see what he does. Now, I might just get, see, this guy baited all the arrows, which is perfect. Let's take a quick look here at this communion. Okay, so we have slave, 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 master, master, master. It looks pretty balanced. So how many guys does he have in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's got sort of 10 squares, so he's got about 30 total mages, maybe 28. And if I look here at the Communion Masters, there's 18 slaves. So he's got a bit more than half of his guys as slaves. So balanced Communion, magic boost of 4. Okay, so we can see that we have successfully gem baited him. These guys are casting their spell. So let's see what he casts. He has summon earth power going up. All right. So right away, this is important to see. So he has arrow fend. Flaming arrows. Anti-magic. Mass flight. Earthquake? Serpent's Blessing. Legions of Steel. Here go the 2 earthquakes. Okay, now his guys had mass flight and he just kind of ran into me. So, of course, because he had mass flight, that's why his earthquake didn't hit his own guys. So, first of all, successful gem bait. He had some temporary gem items, but not all of them were temporary. So we actually just caused him to use more gems than we did. And our guy was twice born. So that was just a success. Plus, we gained a ton of information. That is really cool. So we know exactly what he's planning, what he's thinking of doing. And so let's talk about that in a minute. Now here, yeah, he just had a bit of PD on top of the fort. Okay. Unexpected event. We got gold, misfortune. Okay, and our guy comes back as a white mage. And we have alteration 7. Okay. This was really nice. This was really important. This was a great turn. Well, okay, so there's good news and there's bad news. Okay, he did what we thought he was going to do. He moved his whole army there, and in fact, he even patrolled, which means, you know, he lost out on a bit of research, so that's always nice. Now, given the spells that he cast, he clearly has gone down enchantment. I apologize. There's actually some... let me see if the audio is picking this up in the background. There's somebody doing some lawn maintenance just outside my office. Okay, he was doing mass flight, so he has gone down to enchantment 7. And we saw also Serpent's Blessing and things like that. So we could do Foul Vapors, but he's protected against it with Serpent's Blessing, so that's not going to be effective. He has Arrow Fend up, so our Howling Bows are not going to be useful except in like on turn 1. So when we use our Sacreds, we can totally do hold an attack, which will have them fire like 2 volleys of arrows, but afterwards they'll just kind of run in and attack. But we shouldn't use our guys just on fire shooting their bows, because with Arrow Fend up, it's going to be pretty useless. Still, though, that first strike of arrows could be devastating, because if we do like hold and attack archers, look at how he had his guys. Oh, why do we have 2? Oh, because we had the scout here for some reason. Well, it doesn't matter. Based on where his archers are positioned, which is in the back. Now, of course, he has some of these. These will also count as archers. But I bet if we just did hold and attack archers with our cavalry way out in the front, we would probably have a lot of arrows round 1 landing on these guys. So that's definitely something to consider. Okay. Next thing, he's doing mass flight. Now, that means... Okay, well, actually, sorry. Let me get to this first. So he's doing flaming arrows. And because it's LA Man, it's not just... So he's using a bunch of knights, but it's not just the knights. He's using longbowmen, and he's using wardens. The wardens have crossbows. These guys just shoot a lot of arrows. So we're going to have a decent amount of incoming archer fire. And because of flaming arrows, that's going to be magic damage. And if any of those arrows hits, it's going to pop our fog warriors. Which means we really can't... I don't want to attack before I get Arrowfend. So both of us are going to have Arrowfend up for this battle. Or for the beginning. That's what I'd like to have. I'd like to have both of us do Arrowfend. So that's another thing. That will negate his flaming arrows. Now, in addition, he's doing mass flight. So mass flight is only good if you have the advantage. If you are stronger than the opponent. These guys had mass flight. I was trying to see if these guys were on fire or if they were on attack. These guys are all going to fly in. But given the numbers that I'm seeing here, as long as I position my units correctly, I actually welcome him flying into me because I think I'm going to have a better position. I think I'm going to have more units. And I think I have like just more sacreds. Like honestly, 100 Ancestor Cavalry, like bring it, right? 100 Ancestor Cavalry is way stronger than 30 Tower Knights, 30 Wardens, and 30 Doggies. I think. Just because I have a Bless. Like my Bless is much deadlier than his. He just has resistances which are going to be completely useless against me. So, I think it makes sense for me to consider going Evocation 5 just to get Storm. Now, eventually, I mean, he's not casting Storm because he wants to make use of his Archer Fire. Once we both have Arrowfend up, then projectiles are sort of irrelevant. Like, normally, I don't want to put Storm up because it kills precision, which you can compensate for by putting up Wind Guide. But, you know, Storm is a good defense against archers. If I do Storm, though, it would be to cancel his mass flight. Now, it would be... The other thing to consider, though, is that he is doing Earthquake. He did double Earthquake. Now, are we able to get mass flight? We would have to go ourselves into Enchantment 7, which we can't really do fast enough. Now, the thing about Earthquake is it does 8 AP damage, defense negates. It's not going to do a ton of damage. It's not going to affect my sacreds, but it could definitely hurt my mages. That being said, he's doing it after Mass Flight, and his Mass Flight is coming on turn 2. So he's doing Earthquake on turn 3. He's doing Communion, Earth Power, and then Earthquake. All my important spells, as long as I cast them on turn 2 or before, are going to go off. Before that mage potentially dies. to something. Okay, let's... So anyway, so we learned a lot of valuable information here. Now let's take a look at what's happened here to our mage core. This guy is just sick. So let's twice-born him. I feel like I just recruited this guy. Man, he was recruited, and he came with us. He joined our service, disease, never healing wound, and chest wound. All right, this guy is the guy we sent who died, who got twice spawned. Now, he has an affliction. He lost an eye, so he's lost some precision. We're lucky, though, as part of his twice-borning, as part of his death, he gained a path in death, which is actually really cool. Let's actually compare him now, and so you can compare him to the other guy. So he has 21 hit points. All right, let's compare. Do I have another nature? Yeah, okay. So, 14 hit points, 11 protection, because he's got this armor, which gives him 2 encumbrance, and then 15 MR, 17 morale. Here we have 21 hit points, less protection, because this guy has no built-in armor, 16 MR, which I think is 1 lower than this guy. Sorry, not 16 MR versus... 15, okay, so 1 more MR, and 20 morale versus 17 morale. So just better stats across the board. Then this guy, because he's old, he was losing a lot of these stats here, right? So the attack and defense, precision, combat speed was all pretty low. Here we have, the weapon here gave us a 1 bonus to attack. Here our weapon is giving us 1 to attack, but also 3 to defense. Oh, it's because we lost an eye, so we have -2 and -2. So normally this chassis would be, like, we'd be at 12 attack, 15 defense. But because he lost the eye, he's a little bit penalized. Then we have map move 22, which is much better than this guy's map move 10. Plus, but we're still sacred. We were lucky we got a death path, which is nice. But sometimes you could lose nature paths. So we can go underwater. We're a poor amphibian, which, by the way, is, although I hadn't thought about it earlier, is definitely a way that we can go and finish this guy off. We just have to get a twice-born guy underwater. And let's keep looking. So because he's undead now, so he has built-in cold resistance and poison resistance, need not eat, and he has chill 3. So a pretty cool chassis. Now, is this unit alone able to thug? Well, I mean, look. What if you did this? Now, all of a sudden, he has, like, let's say, a reasonable amount of protection. It would be nice to get a hat on him. Now, remember, his attack and defense stats are kind of crippled by him having lost an eye. But now he has, like, even more resistances. This guy's death 3, so without even any gems, he's going to do Soul Vortex and Invulnerability. And regen. We give him, like, a Coral Blade. And this is, like, almost no gem expenditure, by the way, guys. This is, like, a totally reasonable, a little thug. Now, against man, this is a bit tricky, because man can do Cloud Trapeze, Air Elemental, sort of magic phase attacks to counter thugs like this. And this guy, I think, would get wrecked by an Air Elemental, though he does have some shock resistance. So I'd have to think, is there... I don't know if there's something I can give this guy so that he doesn't get wrecked by air elementals. I'd have to do some testing, and it would have to be a super cheap item, because this isn't the kind of chassis that I feel that I want to spend a ton of gems on. So I have to think about that. If there's an item that I would want to give him, I have to test this guy versus air elementals. I don't think this is. In other words, in another matchup, I would kind of feel pretty good sending this guy alone to Thug. But that's not going to work very well in this case, because he could kill the Thugs pretty easily with air elementals. Now, something I could do is I could combine this guy, like, so I can forge a Shade Mail Aubergent, these things, which give a unit stealth. And what I can therefore do is send a scout with the Shade Mail item. So let's say I wanted to raid this province here. I put a scout with the Shade Mail. You're saying, why does the scout have the Shade Mail? Well, I know he doesn't need it, but he's holding it for the Thug, right? So this guy raids. And the reason I don't put the Shade Mail on him is because the Shade Mail is kind of mediocre armor for fighting. I'd much rather use my fancy armor here. We raid with this guy, have the Shade Mail on the scout. Then when we're done raiding, the scout gives the Shade Mail to this guy, who then they swap armor. And then they can just move on. And because he's stealthed, he could be the target of Mind Hunt, but if the enemy just cloud trapezes into the province, he won't find anybody. He'll just like cloud trapeze into it, air elemental, like against my PD or something, but the mage will be hidden. And then the turn after, we could just like attack it again or move on to another province. So that is definitely something worth considering. Definitely worth considering. Okay, let's do some turn micro here. Okay, so based on what I've seen here, I definitely don't want to fight yet. I'd like to, if possible, wait 2 turns so that I can get enchantment. So I can get Arrowfend. Now, what else would I get? Is there anything noteworthy here that I'll get? Mostly it's Arrowfend. I mean, I could even do Rigor Mortis and Relief. It would take a bit of doing, but Rigor Mortis I can do either with a small communion. Yeah, I mean, literally, I could just do with a communion on a Death Astral, or I can use a Thug like this guy, give him a Skull Staff. Now he's Death 4. And he can just cast it and then take a nap. And then Relief is pretty easy to... I mean, I've got Shaman, so I can do any nature spell, really, that I want. And that is actually pretty strong against LA Man, whose units tend to have a lot of encumbrance because of all the heavy armor. Okay. All right. Let's decide what we're going to do. So, okay, first thing to think about. Oh, also we made this guy younger. Oh shit. All right, but he's actually 190 out of 190. Let's make him younger again. I don't want to lose him to disease. I invested a lot in him, so it's more important to make sure he gets under the old age threshold. Shit, going insane, goddamn, really. It's more important to me that he gets young, so I keep him for longer, so I can make more of these swords in the long run. We've got a Earth random here. Let's just fix this recruitment. Oh, commander points. Yeah, we're all set here. That's good. We have a general. If we want to move troops up, we could just reinforce. Let's think about where we want to move. Let's do our easy moves here. Actually, this is going to be 2 turns anyways. We can afford to move our shaman forward. Over here, I guess he's researching. It's a little awkward that we're still exposed here, but we'll see if I'm going to end up spending money. Let's see if I can afford to start the fort this turn. I'm not sure I can. Here we're going to site search. Here, I think we finished site searching the Astral 2 down here, right? Yep. Pretty much. So, here somehow we didn't site search Astral. Interesting. All right, let's just get you back to a lab. I never searched Astral in this province. Let's just go ahead and do that. Here we're doing nature and earth, which we'll also need to do down in this forest. And we also need to move up. And so there's a bit of these, yeah, okay, so this pair has a long way has a bunch of site searching to do. Now, we won't do Air 2 here, but I can live with that for now. Okay, also we blood hunted a little bit, so we got a few blood slaves, which is nice. These are going to be useful because there's some items that we can forge. So for one thing, some kinds of thugs. Okay, I had to pause the recording there for a short period of time. We were just talking about things we can do with blood, which might include eventually the bloodstone. But unfortunately, we need Earth 2 to craft this, and it's going to be hard to boost the Demilich because it doesn't have any feet, so we can't give it Earth boots. We could give it a Ring of Wizardry, but that's going to take a lot more Astral Pearls before we can get there, and we only have 3 per turn. Elemental Staff is going to be really tricky to make. I don't think we have really the right cross paths anywhere to make that happen. So that's going to be more of a long-term prospect. But there's still definitely like a few random blood items that might be worth making. So yeah, we'll keep doing a bit of blood hunting just to have a small stockpile built up. Now, while I was away, but actually a couple of hours passed since I started recording the video, there were some very interesting diplomatic developments. So I was contacted by Ulm, who sort of, said hello because now we're neighbors. What it appears has happened, which I was not aware of, is that Ulm and Man together were teaming up and were fighting Pangea. Pangea is actually located down here. And yeah, so both of them were having a 2v1 against Pangea, which I was completely unaware of. I guess I should have suspected. I remember a few turns ago that I thought I saw this province being one of Man's provinces. Maybe I can go back in the turns to see if I had actually seen that. But anyways, apparently Man had gotten like 2 of Pangea's cap circle provinces, and Pangea was hard pressed because he was fighting a 1v2. I had actually suspected. I remember maybe 1 or 2 episodes ago mentioning that Ulm in the game's chat had mentioned something about a dryad. So, anyways, Ulm just kind of said hello, and we have borders now, and stuff like that. He was almost kind of congratulating me on like my success in my war against man. But of course, we just started it. I think maybe he doesn't have complete scouting information over here. I just raided 2 provinces, but from his perspective, it seems like I've conquered a lot of man, and I'm, on my way to overrunning him. I asked him about what if he was fighting Pangaea, and he, based on what I'd heard in chat, and he said yes. And then that whole situation was revealed to me. And so, unbeknownst to me, I ended my nap with man right as he was in Pangaea's cap circle. That caused man to abruptly end his war against Pangaea and turn around to face me. That is why his army was down here. And why it moved up this way, because he was down here fighting in Pangaea's cap circle. So that's really interesting. Now, I didn't choose, like, Pangaea didn't ask me for help, which is interesting because, asking for help when you're being 2v1'd might happen, but it could also be that I would just decide to team up with them and just make it a 3v1, right? And similarly, Man and never mentioned to me that they were going to attack Pan. They didn't ask me to come and join them to make it a 3v1, probably because they wanted to get all the stuff for themselves, which makes sense. But anyways, completely oblivious to what was going on, I just decided I was going to attack Man. So Alm tells me, okay, so Man backed out of the war. Now Alm tells me, like, he's met, like, stiffer resistance than anticipated with Pangaea, and he offered peace to Pangaea, but Pangaea refused. And Pangaea, the way puts it, it's like Pangaea wanted to get something back for all the blood that was spilled in the war. Now, so he tells me that. Okay, so that's interesting. But then also tells me, sort of in the interest of full disclosure, sorry, actually, I'm going to pause very quickly here and respond to some of this ongoing diplomacy. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. Right, so the way puts it, he's met, stiffer than expected resistance from Pangaea. He's willing to give peace to Pangaea, but Pangaea doesn't want the peace. So tells me, in the interest of full disclosure, that he suggested to Pangaea that maybe Pangaea could attack me. Since now I was, presumably because now I was also fighting Man. Now, and I guess might have floated the idea. So there's a narrative here where could say, well, we don't want TC to completely overrun Man. Let's instead bury our grudges and I'll go fight Tianqi, right? Now that's a little bit of a stretch because we barely have borders here. And I, he sees now that we have a border, but this isn't like I'm not really taking over this fort anytime soon, and it's a citadel. It'll take forever to siege down. But there is a world in which, as my war against Man presumably succeeds, now I have borders with and he could attack me. But wasn't like, he was being very careful. He wasn't like, I'm not threatening you or anything. He's just saying, like, that is an idea that I floated to Pangaea. So I guess, so at that point I thought, okay, made some gains in the fight against Pangaea, but he doesn't really feel like fighting an astral nation because he's using immortal vampires, right? That's kind of thing, and Pangaea is going to soul slay all his vampires. So he maybe feels, this isn't such a great matchup. It was nice when it was a 2v1. Let me pull out while I'm ahead. But Pangaea is saying no, and so is looking for, like, another place to deflect Pangaea's anger, right? Now, the thing is, there's certainly the possibility that I could, we talked briefly about the possibility, like, what if I ended my war with Man right now? Because we haven't really done any serious fighting, right? We could always peace out, return provinces that were, these 2 provinces that are raided. There wasn't much, right? We burned some gems, whatever. There was no major fighting. And then just do, like, attack Pangaea. In other words, I could help by fighting Pangaea. Possibly even Man. See, the problem with this idea, though, is that what's in it for Man? Presumably, at the time of this message with I didn't know, I didn't have confirmation, but I would assume Man would have signed a peace with Pangaea. And so it would be really awkward for Man to have attacked Pangaea, then peace out, and then what, attack him again? Like go back to now make it a 3v1? That seems very awkward for Man. Now, because I don't think that Man should, if I were in Man's position, I would not just randomly peace out with Tianqi now. Unless for whatever reason I was terrified that Tianqi was going to win the war. But he's got like his big doom stack. I've got my big doom stack. Presumably he's confident in his ability to do something. So, now's not really the time. I mean, unless he knows, unless his game sense has, unless he's figured out that I'm going to completely crush him, then that's not necessarily, the time to peace out. Just peacing out means he hasn't gained anything because he gave back all the provinces that he took from Pangaea, I think, except from one. So he didn't gain much from the war with Pangaea. So then all he would do is be at peace and not growing, while his neighbors would be growing. So that's not a great move from Man's perspective. So what I did is, instead of pursuing this line of thinking with Man to see if he'd be interested in peacing out, I went and talked to Pangaea. And I didn't say, oh, told me this, but I just said, hey, actually, I wasn't aware of what had happened, but now I have learned that and Man were fighting you, and it looks like by chance, I happened to divert Man away from you. And then I kind of asked, like, so what's your deal with now? Like, and I asked him sort of an open-ended, not an open-ended, but like a directed question. I kind of said, is it the case that now that it's a 1v1 versus you feel pretty confident that you can keep the fight going, and that's why you don't want peace? And Pangaea basically confirmed that. We have a nap with Pangaea, so even if he decided to attack me, we'd have turns to react. But now that I've had Pangaea's side of the story, he confirmed, first of all, Man did agree to a nap 4, and he returned all but one of the provinces that he had taken. So I think he had taken 3 provinces, 2 of which were in the cap circle, maybe these 2. And he returned those 2, and I guess he kept another province and then signed a nap 4. And then he also tells me that he has kicked Ulm out from his land and has even taken a province, like an extra province from Ulm, and now Ulm wants peace. And apparently, there was also a large battle this turn, and he killed quite a few mages. So I think the flip side of the story is that Ulm isn't like ahead and wants to get out while he's ahead. Ulm now really thinks he might lose the war. And so I don't think I need to fear Pangaea attacking me at all. I think Pangaea is quite happy continuing this war in a 1v1. So all of that to say that there's actually nothing that's going to change diplomatically, but there could have been a major shift. But it looks like Pangaea is going to keep fighting Ulm in a 1v1, and now we're going to have our 1v1 with Man, which we should get back to planning and executing. This episode has actually already been one of the longest episodes we've had so far. So what are we going to do? We laid siege to this fort. We're going to just put a dude here and then move on and take this province. These raiders here, we're going to put 1 PD. We've got a scout here. I'm going to take this scout and move it down here. And we're going to take these guys and we're going to raid over here. Or we could raid here. There's a lot of mages. Okay, so if you're in Man's position here, you're fighting against a nation Tianqi that loves to raid with heavy cavalry. So, although here he patrolled with his whole army, if you've got a stack of mages here, and now I don't know if he's trying to reach a tight research target, but having a couple of these mages cast like big air elementals is like an amazing way to defend this castle. Now he hasn't shown that he's going to do that yet. I don't know if I should risk getting onto this castle. See, the nice thing about getting onto these castles is that we take away like mage turn recruitment, right? He's like recruiting fewer mages, and that's the scariest thing about man is these mages. So I definitely want to be doing that if I can. However, this is his cap circle, so if I get in here, I'm reducing his, ability to recruit his sacreds. Although I'm not so scared about his sacreds. Still, this is something that kind of can scare him a bit more. So I'm actually going to try to go here and kind of cut this off and threaten more provinces. If I go here, then the next move is obvious, and then this province is cut off. So going here gives me sort of more options. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put 1 PD so that when he takes our province back, we know what he did it with. Now, over here, we're not going to get a general, but let's keep getting heavy cav. Let's see if we do any commander recruitment there. I could... All right, let's queue up some unit... Oh, wait, we don't have recruitment points, so let's just do that for now. Let's actually do our recruitment very quick. Just double check. Oh, we did all this stuff. Let's just use the N key to go to the next thing. Okay, this is our province that we took back from the indie raids. Now here... Okay, to be honest, given the small amount of raiders that we had... I'm a bit disappointed in the raid. We only got 28 gold. Well, okay, actually, I say that, but actually conquering this province would only give us 20 gold. So we actually gain as much gold by raiding it every turn as we do from straight up conquering it, which is pretty hilarious. I think what I want to do here... Jeez. We have a lot of options in terms of moving. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a small sacred raiding squad here. So me poking him here with the gembait attack kind of signals like I wanted to see what was there, and now I'm going to attack this turn. So in his position, it would be totally legitimate for him to like patrol again, expecting to have the big fight. We're not going to give it to him because we need to get Arofin before we do that fight. So it would be awkward for him to defend this against a raid, but maybe he will now that I've raided some here. In any case, I'm willing to lose 6 sacreds over this raid here. So let's just script this a little bit safer, kind of like this. Blessing, blessing, and then let's just do, let's do personal luck, body ethereal, liquid body, just so we try not to die here. And we're going to take let's move this general up here so that he can move. Let's move the sacreds down here maybe so that we can raid more down here with kind of some of these sacreds. And then this guy, this is not a crazy idea. Let's raid one more turn over here. It's giving us the same good income. Next turn, we're going to have a nice little army with about 25 heavy cav and 13 sacreds. We can move out with a couple of these guys for blessings, and then like this guy who can like 1 or 2 earth mages who can do like, strength of giants, summon like legions of steel, stuff like that. That's a nice medium-sized army that's going to require like a pretty decent chunk of man to to deal with. So that could be something that really comes around and acts as a bit of a much more robust raiding force. So I kind of like that idea here. I think probably the man player is probably kind of a little scared of what might happen here. And so he's going to try to defend here. And the more turns he wastes here defending, that better it is for me. Now, I kind of want to go in and gem bait again, do the exact same thing we did. So we're going to do that. Let's see who I would like to... So I've got a bunch of twice-born people. Who would I want to send in next? So that script kind of... Oh, well, this guy... No, I need to twice-born this guy. So let's do it because he's like... Because he's almost going to die as it is. First of all, let's see if we have twice-borned all the people that sort of need to be or could be. This is an Earth guy. He can forge things. I actually have a mission for him. We'll get to that in a moment. This guy, also twice-borned, an Earth guy. Air guy here, also twice-borned. We could send an air dude in. Honestly, I could send a few guys in and I'll get them twice-born. I don't think man has like high thaumaturgy. I don't think he's going to be doing enslave anytime soon. Now, is there anything that I could do specifically in air to be annoying, to cause damage? Not really. Although last turn I didn't really cause any damage. That wasn't the point. It was just to bait gems. If potentially I were to gain a point in death by luck like I did last time, who would I want it the most on? Or like, what's the chassis? So here's the other consideration. He's doing earthquakes. So one of the things I do want to do is I want to take this guy, give him a hammer, which apparently I don't have. So let's... oh, because we were using... Okay, here. Let's just have you chill for 1 second. Let's actually... Definitely... yeah, we have the earth gems, kind of. Forge more of these, because they're amazing. Actually is something I'd like to do here with the hammer. If I can find one. Oh, we're making coral blades. Let's pause the coral blades here for a moment. And let's assign the skull staves before we forget. These guys are all... these guys all have skull staves. I guess we'll give them to these guys for now. Okay. Right. So one thing I want to forge a few of are Ring of Levitation. Now, these are only going to cost me 2 air gems each, I believe. Yeah, because we've got the forge bonus. And I want to... So, mages that have air are going to be able to cast flight. This is to dodge earthquake. So, earthquake... defense will check against it, and it's 8 AP damage. So if we have armor, we probably won't die to 1 earthquake, but he's doing 2 earthquakes. My units, my cavalry are fine. They have like 16. They have a ton of defense. We'll be okay. But some of these mages are a bit more vulnerable. Now, the ones that have... All these guys are going to be twice-born. So I'm not too worried about them. Like, I don't mind if they die, as long as they get their important spells cast beforehand, and all of my spells are going to be cast on round 1 or round 2. The exception might be the big air evocations. Like if I needed to do Communion Master and then Power of the Spheres, that could be... that could take long, right? So there's a couple ways. I could do like a Crystal Matrix Communions to speed that up a little bit. But I could just also make Rings of Floating, and that's cheaper. It's only like 2 air gems, and it's just going to give me a bit more protection. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, who do I want to go get Twiceborn? Let's assign, these are some cat mages that we brought in. We're just going to have them research here just for now. This is our kind of mini pretend thug. You know, I could oh, geez. Wait, can one of these guys reach? No. We could, like, Cloud Trapeze a guy in here. Once we have Conjuration 5, that would be better. Because right now, what is he going to do? He's got a quarterstaff. You could just hoard a skeletons. But there is a Magister Arcane, so I would get the Magister Arcane plus the PD. I don't think that's enough. Let's not be too greedy here. We'll think about this in a moment. Okay, let's send Death Guy in here. His script is going to be Air Shield, Horde of Skeletons, Invulnerability, Mist Form before Invulnerability. Actually, let's do Soul Vortex, then Invulnerability. And let's give you some air gems and some death gems. And we're going to give you a dude here. We're going to do the same thing as before. Go. Be a hero. And hopefully come back to me with more death, but even if you don't, I'll still be proud. Okay. Do I spend more nature gems on more bulls? Oh, by the way, these are the buffaloes. They're amazing. They have 5 natural protection. They have 2 attacks, although it's low attack skill. They are Berserker 2, so this will go up to 10 and 9. Gives a bit more protection. They have 43 hit points. They're size 2, so they stack with human soldiers, although not with cavalry. And they're tramplers. They're just badass. Yeah, I kind of want more of these guys. Oh, actually, let's summon them with this guy, because you get more if you have higher nature. So let's do that. Rid of Buffalo. Okay. Is there a death spell here? Like perhaps Arouse Hunger that we could cast that would be fun. What if we chilled out with the we are chilling out with the Skullmentors. Okay. I was going to say, what if we didn't spend all our death gems on this stuff, but we kind of Yeah, here's a Skull Mentor. Why don't you chill for a second? Maybe I'll have you... Is there some earth thing that I need forged? Maybe not. Forging a ring. Okay, we're twice borning here, so that's okay. I'm wondering if... Arouse Hunger is not a great spell. It doesn't... It's not that good. Like, it just doesn't get... Like, the stuff it summons aren't super strong. It's good against, like, tiny amounts of PD, maybe if you did a bunch at the same time. But it's not amazing. Let's pull up some of these death gems. Unfortunately, this guy lost an eye, so he's gonna... Let's have him wait. He'd be a great addition to the actual fight that's going to happen here. Do I have... Yeah, I think that's going to be it. Are you twice-borned? No. Let's twice-born you. Let's do that. You're forging a Skull Mentor. We might as well give you a hammer. And let's have this general wait here. And next turn we'll have like 8 cavalry, which we could send. Like, he's probably going to retake this, and then we can kind of send something to retake it after. So that's fine. We'll leave the scout on top here. So you wait there. Looks like we've finally gotten through all of our orders. We've made this into a super long 1-hour episode for a single turn. But that's how we roll. There's a couple things I do want to forge. Like, I did want to forge eventually the Crystal Coin Astral Booster, but it's not super relevant until we also get a hat to... so we can get 2 Astral Boosters, so I'm not too worried about that. Maybe we'll try to get another hammer in, because next turn we're going to send one of our hammers to this guy so he can start making our Tianchi swords. So I think that's going to be it. This has been a pretty long episode. But yeah, this is the beginning. We're kind of getting deeper into this war. And our research, now that we have, because we were moving all the shaman across. Oh, I guess that's the last point I wanted to make. He has 30 mages here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 Astral 1 shaman. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Astral 1 Masters of the Way, so that's 17 guys. These might join the fight later on. Now, I'm going to need like a small communion of at least 4 slaves to boost this guy enough to be able to do Fog Warriors, right? And also to boost like, and also for Divine Blessing and whatnot. So I'm going to need like, let's say 5 or 6 guys in the communion, which means we have maybe a dozen Astral Ones that I can use for Magic Duel, which, by the way, is, let's just make sure we have it. We need to get Evocation 3. Actually, that's a priority. Since it's not going to affect the number of turns it takes to, to get Enchantment 6. Let's actually get Evocation 3 first, then Enchantment 6. Good thing I thought about that. If we do need to fight him, then we definitely need to have Magic Duel. Yeah. So Magic Duel is just a d6 on each side. Since his guys are Astral 1, my guys are Astral 1, it's just half of my guys will die, half of his guys will die, basically. A little more than half because ties both of them die. But I'll trade in my cheap mages versus his good mages any day. Like it's a bit kind of mutually assured destruction, but his main strength are his mages. So the more of them I kill, the better. And for that reason, I kind of should keep recruiting Masters of the Way if I can. And hope to get more Astral guys. Now, I am recruiting cavalry here. I could be recruiting some here, but picking them up is going to be a bit of a pain. Plus, I don't get that many because the resources are all being sucked in by the forts. Let's build up a bit. Here I could be recruiting some. 2 per turn. It's not going to have enough of an impact on the war soon enough. I kind of want to save up a bit of gold to see if I can finally get the fort started here. So let's have that as our goal. Okay, that's it. I'm done. See you guys next time. Take care.